this guy. This might not be good. I'll power through it. I've never liked Harmony Korine that much. And that might surprise a lot of people, because, I'm kind of edgy and, try hard a lot of the time. And so is he. So you'd think that my relationship with Harmony Korine would be a lot better. But, I don't like him. I never got into him. I thought that Gummo was acceptable. And that's it. And, after tonight, and seeing Spring Breakers, I still don't think that I'm a Harmony Korine fan. But, one thing that I will say that I admire, first of all, because I've got a lot of things to say here, Harmony Korine is gonna trick, he's probably already done it to a lot of people, he's gonna trick the general public into seeing this movie, because someone out there has created this marketing campaign that's very caffeinated and hypersexual, which is going to appeal to a lot of people. As soon as the film let out, I sent a text message to somebody about, whether or not it was a sexist attack on college-aged women, or a critique of violence culture that was actually decently well done, or just a dumb crime thriller that shouldn't ever have been greenlighted. Her response was, there's only one reason to see that movie, and it's not for the critique of violence culture, which is a very reasonable perspective, I think. But when you get around to seeing this movie, it's still a Korean film. He still has this strange affinity for home video aesthetics and looks and things that crop up occasionally. I'm gonna say right off the bat, my first thoughts on this film is that it was, what a surprise. I thought it was, like I said earlier, maybe a bit sexist, maybe portraying young women, as being a bit easy to manipulate, or materialistic, or easily seduced by masculine power, which wasn't something that I could get on board with, and that left kind of a bitter taste in my mouth, especially, having followed Harmony Korine for so long and knowing him as being kind of a dick, kind of a tool, kind of a douche, kind of an asshole. But then I realized, and this is a big deal for me to say, because nobody's ever heard these words come out of my mouth before, but, in retrospect, I probably got too caught up in the gender aspect of it. Where this movie theme is going to tie together, and your personal interpretation of it, is going to be in one scene. I guarantee it, and it's this, maybe soon to be very well known "look at my shit" scene, where James Franco, I can't remember the fucking guy's name. His real name's Al. I can't remember what he calls himself in the film, but is kind of, going about this room and taking and lifting up all these expensive objects and showing them up and look at my shit, look at all this shit that I have. And then he's got this big wall of guns behind his bed, and he grabs his guns and he goes, look at my shit, look at everything that I have. And the girls that are with him are really, really into it, and they're loving all the shit that he has. And they get a hold of these two guns, and they're very phallically stroking them, and you know that it's like a seductive behavior that they're doing, and they point this gun at him, and you know they have this kind of threatening demeanor, and it freaks him out. You know, it's like, don't point the guns at me, don't point my shit at me. And then they end up, you know, this is a very Harmony Korine touch that he throws in here, end up forcing James Franco to perform fellatio on the barrels of these guns, which at first was stupid of me. I thought it, you know, I perceived them as, this is your chance to take this guy's shit and make a switch in the power here, on the basis of gender, which was stupid of me, I will admit. What this scene boiled down to was the guns. The possession of the guns is what created the power shift, and the power shift continued, even after they relented and were playing around with the guns and sticking them in his mouth like they were penises. Because from that point on in the film, James Franco was kind of under their spell for a little bit. And you know, I don't want to get caught up in the symbolism of it, because as with every Korean film, it's kind of heavy-handed, with, you know, not heavy-handed, ham-fisted is the term I'm looking for. Like, is equating a gun to a penis to power a stroke of symbolic genius? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually kind of lazy. But the important thing to remember here is these women are young. They become essentially cold-blooded killers who don't give a fuck. And it's because of the guns. It's the guns and the wealth that draws them in. And it's not the fact that they're women, it's the fact that they're young. You know, it could have happened to anybody. There could have been male characters that did the same thing. Violence and appeal to wealth are things that appeal to young people right now. We live in a culture that values wealth, obviously, and glorifies violence and equates guns with power. Guns are at the heart of this movie, and I think that makes it a very timely release, being that guns were such an issue in the past year. But the film had been in production before guns were such a hot button thing. So I don't know if I'm contextualizing it in a way that just makes sense in my head, but whatever. Is it a good movie, though? Is it a good movie? I mean, it's okay. James Franco gives a very committed performance. Harmony Korine is still very talented as a cinematographer, or whoever the fuck did the cinematography for this film. I don't bother to check anymore, and I know that's gonna piss a lot of people off, but I have other things to do with my time. you know, these. It's got a very youthful feel to it, which you'll either enjoy it and you'll like the kind of art house subversion of the kind of party film, the college movie that's kind of subverted by the a lot of the aesthetic choices that Korean makes, and the inclusion of this crime element, which makes it sound like a kind of a dumb premise, but it actually ends up working in a way that's very affecting. It absolutely has its moments. Let's give it a 6. Let's give it a 6. I think that as a critique of violence culture, it's very effective. I think that it's entertaining enough. I think it's harmony Korean. I think that has the potential to be divisive. I think there were times when it felt a bit pandering, and it wasn't clear enough if he actually was pandering, if he was, playing ball, or if he was satirizing, which is a huge issue in this movie, is the kind of ambiguity over, does he mean this, or is he just trying to say something? Is he trying to say anything at all? So, 6 out of 10. It sounds reasonable. It wasn't bad. It was timely.